I'm just about ready to start gluing together a rocket that I'm going to call the Flying Pringles Can. And this actually wasn't a rocket I intended to build, at least not now. But if you followed some of my other videos, my Scrap Heap rocket that flew really well on an E and an F, but on the G flight, the motor exploded, took out the bottom of the rocket, and then it lawn darted. So I don't really have anything in this kind of mid-power body tube size, nor do I have any body tubes this size. So I decided, oh well, I have a Pringles can. Let's see what we can do. And it turns out I could actually use quite a bit from Scrap Heap. So let me walk through it, kind of nose to tail. This is a reprint of the rocket nose cone. So the good news is it's if you're 3D printing, it's relatively cheap, and you can just kind of reprint it and rebuild it. One of the things that I did that I really like is I use this kind of twist to lock ring on the nose cone. So I know how to reprint the nose cone if it gets damaged or if I want to try some other experiments. And in fact, that's what I did for the Pringles can. The Pringles can is almost exactly the right size externally, but it's a little bit thicker than the body tube. So I decided also, since it's a stubbier thing, to do a different kind of elliptical nose cone, or I think a parabola nose cone. But I could still use the same locking mechanism, so that's nice. And I made a few updates to it. One of the ones is I really do like this sort of idea that the nose cones separate. For my small ones, I use 2-piece nose cones. For a Scrap Heap, I used a 3, and I kind of just updated that a little bit. So this is very similar to what was used in the original nose cone. One of the things I did was I've got this feature with an orthodontic rubber band. And so I moved that from the bottom to the side. And so when you put the shoulder piece on, it just gives it a little bit of a push. I don't know that it's really necessary. I think the shock cord and the force of ejection is going to cause it to fly apart anyway. But I kind of like the way it turned out. And so I put that on both sides. These 2 orange pieces, I just threw some orange paint on them, getting ready to try to get ready for the launch this weekend. And so I could see them if anything goes wrong and find them. They're identical pieces, so they're just, you just print them twice and they dovetail together. So that forms the whole nose cone. And again, when it ejects out of the body tube, it falls apart, the chute rides inside the nose cone. And that protects it and keeps the weight forward. So that's the nose cone piece. The next piece, I'm going to put a pretty long center tube in it. Kind of the same concept of it. These are lightweight, but to give it some more strength. I have no idea how strong a Pringles can is going to be. I've cut out the bottom metal here, and so you'll see in a second how the fin assembly sits on the bottom, and then the top centering ring. I did things a little bit different. What I did was I made it so that the nose cone, what I plan to do is put it in so the nose cone actually sits right on top of it. So it's actually going to give it some additional support. And the other thing is I made sure I flipped it upside down so I could print the features on it such that the exhaust gases could fill this whole area. I've done some in the past where I've put pistons down in the inner tubes. And the reality, they all flew okay, but they all got damaged as well, which is what happens is the pressure, when you have the engine ejection pushing a piston up and it's got a much bigger area above it, the pressure always just split the tubes. So in this case, the area will be out there, and I've got a couple more experiments going on here. One was the mount of the Firefly. If you did watch the Scrap Heap stuff, the Firefly altimeter I forgot about, and I made sort of a little bracelet thing that's over there to the side. I kind of redid that concept, and I made a little sort of matchbox cubby for it. I put a little hole in the top so I could see the LED. I'm going to fill that with epoxy that's clear. I added a little tether to the Firefly, so it snaps in here. It's just kind of a force fit. There's a couple little indents on the side there to hold it in. And then once this is installed in the body tube, then what I'll do is I'll just slide it down like that. And so it will fit snug against the tube, and I'll drill a hole in the outer wall. And so that's how it kind of protects it, and I'm able to do that. And kind of what I've got going on here with this complicated shock cord is I was just trying to tether everything together, so if something does happen, I at least have some chance of it, and also to be able to pull it back out, because you kind of got to reach down in there. The other thing I'm going to try, because this is full of experiments, is I've mounted the main shock cord in two places. And the reason I wanted to do that, I'll talk about in a second with the fins, but I'm hoping that by leaving this a loop and having it this way, that I can get the rocket to fall a little more vertically when it's undershoot. So that's that piece. And the reason I'm trying to get it to fall a little more vertically is because this is the fin assembly. So unlike the other rocket where I used paper balsa fins and a full body tube, I wanted to this tube was short enough already. So what I did was I built an entire fin assembly, which turned out to be just about as big of an assembly as I can print. And I angled the fins up and try to avoid the fact that you don't want the fin to contact the ground first. It's an easy way to snap a fin. And so I'm trying to protect the fins, because the 3D printing came out well. You can see kind of the infill pattern on them. They're 4 millimeters thick with an adaptive cubic infill of I think 10 or 15%. So the whole thing, this whole fin assembly, weighed in about 100 grams. So I'm going to epoxy that to the bottom of the can. I also had to put, I'm going to go ahead and do this on launch rods. And so I had to build in a feature that will hold the launch lug that'll go to a 1/4-inch rail off a little bit. I built another little one to be able to do the same thing up here, because unlike the rocket body tubes, right, these have these protrusions that would hit the rod if you mounted the rod flush. So that's that. The body tube goes in. It's a little longer for the real one, but I have another one in here just to show you how it fits in there. There's really nothing going on inside. You can kind of see the infill as well on there. And then I got this sort of boat tail. We'll see how that works, right? I mean, that's going to reduce the drag effect and other things. And then I updated and did another twist lock for the motor. So the motor's gonna fit in here. Here's a used F41. The motor goes in, hopefully, if I haven't messed it up. And then this is an updated version of something I did on an Easy A rocket. It basically just pops in there and twists to lock. And then once it's aligned with the fins, there's twisted far enough to lock in. So that's that. And this does three things, right? One is it holds the motor, for sure. Two is hopefully if the rocket is coming down decently vertical undershoot, then it's going to be take the brunt of the impact if it hits a harder surface or something like that. And then the third thing is it does give me a little bit. One of the issues with the fins that are raked this way is they don't sit up on your bookshelf, so it does give it a little bit of a way to stand the rocket up. It's not super stable, but it does stand up okay. So that's it. That's the rocket. I will get to gluing and hopefully have a flight video for you soon.